Legends, welcome back to another team preview from the Ruck Infringement Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Joey the Prophet. Joining me today, one of my incredible co-hosts all the way from Erskine Park, the one and only Dongle. How are you, buddy?
Good, mate. Good. Thank you very much for having me on again. Bit of a different one tonight, I suppose. But yeah, let's get into it, man. It should be fun. Going well, though, brother. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It absolutely is a bit of a different one. Of course, we're doing the Melbourne Storm team preview tonight, which both of us know absolutely nothing about. So we're relying on a bit of Google and a bit of research, which we always like on this show, research. But let's get straight into it now. Of course, the ins and outs for 2026 for the Melbourne Storm, they look a little bit like this. Now, they lost Nelson Asofa Solomona. He hasn't technically signed for a club yet. We're hearing that he may sign with Parramatta. But, when you lose Nas, you have to sign another Nas. And they've signed Jack Hetherington, which just fits the mold perfectly for them. Likes to fight, likes to knock people's heads off. Mate, Jack Hetherington, how do you reckon he'll go down under Bellamy's watch?
Jack will be good, man. Like, he's really upgraded, though, hasn't he? He's gone from the shithouse to the penthouse, hasn't he? So, lucky guy. Keen to see how he develops, though, yeah? Like, I think he was pretty underutilized at Newey, but, yeah, I think he'll do pretty well here in Melbourne, yeah. I mean, that's the Bellamy effect, I suppose. So, you sort of look at those ins, though, and you kind of think that's, compared to the outs list, I suppose it's not too flashy, but I suppose like someone that's solid like Jack Hetherington, yeah, they're going to get the best out of him. So, yeah, I'd watch out for him. It might be one of his best years yet.
Played in the trial on the weekend. Of course, we've seen a little bit of footy so far. Looked okay. Probably won't get a start, I'd say, being a bench role. But moving into the next in, David Mawali, a player that I really like, coming over from South Sydney Rabbitohs, played in the trial on the weekend too. Got some good touches, some good minutes. He's one to watch this year. I think he could be a bit of a smoky off the bench for Melbourne. The other player they got, Trent Talau, from the Penrith Panthers. Of course, we know what he can do. He's actually been named again in the trial this weekend at 14, which is really interesting because they lost a player like Bronson Garlick, who was playing sort of that 14 role as a backup hooker. And not that Harry Grant really needs a backup hooker. I mean, he's probably an 80-minute hooker, but they still have Tyron Wishart, who we're assuming when Hughes is fit, Hughes is straight back in the 7, Wishart to 14. But, mate, a good little pick up there, Trent Talau.
Yeah, he is, yeah. I actually had him as my player to watch this year, yeah. So really underused in Penrith as well. I suppose, what are you going to do? Trying to get into that squad. But, yeah, hopefully he does get some minutes. He looks pretty young and promising, and he's a local boy, yeah. So keen to see him kick ass, hopefully, for Melbourne. Not too much ass, but, a little bit. Just a little bit,
yeah. Look, we don't want to see them go too well. We're both opposition fans.
Again. I was there in that semi-final. Don't worry about that. Still burns.
Don't worry, mate. You knocked us out. So let's talk about the 2026 losses. Of course, Grant Anderson, he heads over to the Brisbane Broncos this year. Bronson Garlick to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Of course, his dad, Sean Garlick, was a South Sydney legend there. So goes over to join the Bunnies there. Ryan Pappenhausen released. He has announced retirement, well, at least for the next year anyway. We don't know really what's going to happen with the R360 staff or any of that. But look, massive loss there for Melbourne. And the other one, Jonah Pezzett. Now, Jonah Pezzett obviously came through the Newcastle system. Really, really good young player. Didn't really get a crack. I mean, when you've got Munster and Hughes and then Wishart, obviously Wishart's going to Perth in 27, but it's very, very hard to get a crack for a player like Jonah Pezzett. Mate, do you think those losses are going to come back to hurt them?
Yeah, I think they will. Yeah, particularly Pappenhausen. Of course, his experience there at fullback. When he's on and he's not injured, he's best in the game. Pezzett as well. Yeah, like I rated him really highly last year in a lot of the shows. I had him as try scorer. I had him as player on field, or best player on field a lot of the time. I thought he was absolutely brilliant going into the finals. That's a massive loss for Melbourne. I think Pezzett. Like they were really moulding him into something really good there. But I suppose he's just going to slot right in at Brisbane when he goes there next year in 27, won't he? So, yeah, good pickup for Parramatta this year, but, massive loss for Melbourne. I think that's huge,
Yeah, I got to agree, and I think Para have a really, really good one there. I mean, look, he comes over, he's just learnt under Munster and Hughes. Now he's going to learn alongside Mitch Moses. I mean, you can't ask for much more. So it's a pretty good education before he hits the Broncos. But, mate, let's chat the 2025 review for the Melbourne Storm. Now, if you're a Melbourne fan, not a bad year. I mean, you finished second, 40 points, 212 positive for point differential, played 24 games. So not a bad season Melbourne-wise, but very uncharacteristic, mate. Now, we saw a couple of games. There was a game where they lost to the Dolphins. They lost to the Roosters. They were up 10-0 at halftime. Roosters won 40-10 in that second half in Melbourne. Some really uncharacteristic losses. They obviously got to the grand final, did what they do best, beat everyone. Everyone said, Melbourne won't make the top four, and they did it again. Mate, take us through what you thought of Melbourne's 2025 season.
Exactly like you said, very uncharacteristic. For a lot of the season, you were even thinking, like, they're not going to make the top four. Will they sort of stumble into the top 8 here? Like, they just weren't like themselves at all. Had a bunch of injuries, I suppose, that didn't really help. Not really too much turmoil, though, off field either. So it was sort of weird to see them sort of staggering around like that. Like, it wasn't really like what you used to when you see Melbourne. But I guess at the right time of the year, they really hit all the right strides and sort of came good at the end there. But for a while, like, we're kind of thinking, like, they're not going to make the four. Like, this is the first time in a number of years where we're not going to see this. But they do what they do best, man. They came back, and that's just Melbourne for you. I don't know what else to say, man. Like, just uncharacteristic. So you've got to think, though, Bellamy's going to sort of reel that in. Like, one of his harder years, I think, this year. But I still think they'll get it done or get close to being in the top 4 again. But as far as doing the same, like, I don't think like they're going to sort of stumble or kick around. Like, I think they're either going to be top of the tier again, or they're sort of going to just dwindle down the ladder, one or the other. Like, I don't think we'll see them sort of limp around and kick in that sort of 4th or 5th place. I think they're sort of going to be like either 1st, 2nd, or they're going to be 8th, like sort of one or the other. Yeah. Like, I think that's where it's headed.
It's really interesting, isn't it? A lot of people talk about Wayne Bennett being the super coach, but the guy hasn't won a comp for 16 years, not since he took the Dragons. But what he's done at new teams has been impressive. But you look at a coach like Bellamy and you go, how has this guy done this every season? It doesn't matter who he loses. It doesn't matter what comes against him. Like, towards that back end of the season, they lost Jerome Hughes. And I honestly thought Melbourne were not going to make a grand final. I said, there is no way they do that. Against your Sharks, Hughes was basically on one arm. I was surprised he played at all. Still puts you to the sword. I mean, it's just it's incredible how a coach has that sort of effect on his players and his team. And look, credit to them for finishing where they did, even after all that adversity. But look, they got to a grand final, and again, they led. They led against Brisbane.
They led. They led. It looked good.
It just crashed out.
Yeah, you're right, man. They led. They were doing really, really well. But again, the Bellamy effect. They just show up for Bellamy and they just play for him. You'd think, they're a bunch of C-level players. Sometimes you look at the back five and you're like, there's 2 or 3 good ones there, and obviously NRL level, but in the grand scheme of the comp, it's like they're like a C tier kind of team. But they just show up and they play like the absolute best. So good on Bellamy, man. I don't know what he does or what's in the water down there, but it's bloody working, I tell you what.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. You're not wrong there. Mate, look, a great year if you're a Melbourne fan. Hopefully more of the same for them, not for us opposition fans. But let's jump into some SuperCoach NRL fantasy now. Obviously, you don't play yourself, but I'm going to run through a couple of players for the listeners who you might want to get into your team this year. Mate, you can just tell me about the players a little bit. Now, the first one in SuperCoach, number 1, Alicia Katoa. He's second row, 728K. Avoid, he's injured. He's gone for the year after that freak accident in the Tongan game. So he's a fantastic player. He did so well in SuperCoach last year. I think he was averaging 60 or 70 a game. I had him as well, and he was scoring for fun. So great player to have, not for this year. So please avoid, if you are listening, playing SuperCoach for the first time, Katoa is gone for the season. So do not buy him, or you're just going to have a player 728K sitting on your bench. We'll move down the list. Cameron Munster, now 5'8", 682K, has been a premium option in SuperCoach in the past. However, I'm avoiding this year only because there's so many cheap options in the 5'8" realm. You've got Dana Pezzett, of course. You've got Dan Atkinson, Ethan Sanders. There's so many halves you can go this year that are 200-300K cheaper than what Munster is.
Yeah.
So you're going to save cash. Yes, his job security is 100%. Probably these guys not so much, but he's also getting older, and I don't know if he really has that speed anymore that we've seen Money possess in the past. So if I am a Supercoach player, which I am, I would be avoiding Cameron Munster to start your year, maybe after Origin, depending how Melbourne are travelling. I would just wait because they do have a pretty tough draw to start the season as well. Mate, we're going to jump down a little bit to Jerome Hughes. Now, halfback, 631K. Now, he's another option in Supercoach who, over the past couple of seasons, has absolutely killed it. I mean, we see Hughes score tries all the time. You don't see a halfback score this many tries, but Jerome Hughes can just find the line. He's got a fantastic step. He likes to take the game on. Mate, 631K, again, there's so many good half options. Dan Atkinson is probably the one at the moment that is in most people's team. But you've also got, he's 631K. Mitch Moses is only 600K. So, you go a player like Mitch Moses, you're going to save 30K. He's a bit cheaper. You're probably going to get a bit more output. And don't forget the new eligibility rules that have just come in. Hughes could play for Queensland. So if you do pick him up and he does get picked for Queensland in State of Origin, you're going to miss him for about 6 weeks of your season. So if he does, make sure you have a good backup. But, mate, Jerome Hughes in general, fantastic player.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you touched on before, I didn't think he was going to play in that semi-final against the Sharks. And the bionic man with one arm just put us to the sword, man. I don't know what else to say. He's fucking brilliant. Yeah, he's a generational player. So, sure. What else is there to say about him, man? He's bloody brilliant. He's good to watch. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's just a top dude all around, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Mate, the next player I'm going to talk about who is at an absolute bargain price this year, Harry Grant. Now, the hooker of the Melbourne Storm, the captain as well, 606K. Now, for you non-Supercoach players, that is very, very cheap for a premium hooker of Harry Grant's quality. You're looking upwards of 800 for how good he is. So you're saving about 200K there. He's in my team. He was one of my first picks. I think he's going to have a massive season. With no Bronson Garlic, I don't see Talau taking too many minutes from him. I don't see Wishart taking too many minutes from him. I think Grant will play upwards of 70, 75 minutes. I think he could even be an 80-minute hooker. So get him in your team if you don't have him already. Just remember, again, the Origin period. Do have a backup who will not play Origin because you will need someone to cover. He's more than likely picked for Queensland. They're not going to just change that all of a sudden. So, he's definitely one at
this stage, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He's one that you definitely want to get around, and then maybe at the Origin mark, just hold him on your bench. Have a backup because he'll definitely play Origin. But a fantastic player, Harry Grant, at 606K. He's an absolute steal. Move down the list to a player who was relevant last year, not so much this year, but Stefano Utoikamanu. Now, front row forward, 515K. Again, very, very cheap in Supercoach terms for a front rower. Payne Haas is about 850K. So you save 300K. You know he's going to start. You know his job security is pretty good, Utoikamanu. There's no one really gunning for his job. Look, not a bad option. If you did go Stefano, I'm not going to turn you down. I'm not going to say, don't pick him because I actually don't mind it. He's a bit of a pod play, not owned in many teams. It just depends if you want to go down that route. Just be careful because in the past, his output hasn't been fantastic Supercoach-wise. Fantastic player, and Dongle, you know what he brings to a side, and he is ferocious and he does provide a lot, but it doesn't necessarily track the Supercoach stats. So Supercoach stats are very, very attacking. So if he's not attacking, scoring tries, or getting through his work, he's probably not going to get the points. So be cautious, but not a bad option. The next one, and I want to throw to you here, mate, but Sua Failongo. Now, this kid has thrust onto the scene. No Ryan Pappenhausen this year. He is the starting fullback.
Yep.
511K. He is cheap as chips in the Supercoach world. That is so cheap for a fullback. He's in my team already. Mate, put Supercoach aside. He's a must-have in any side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's definitely a player to watch this year. We saw glimpses of him last year as he filled in. Obviously, Melbourne went through that massive injury period, but we mainly saw him on the wing. It'd be good to see him with a full season under his belt at fullback. I think he is, going forward. He's got to be their sort of first choice fullback. If he has a good season, they're probably looking to lock him up kind of long term, wouldn't they? So, yeah, interesting to see it though. Like he he's quick. Like, that's the thing. Yeah, like once he gets in open space, he's got a brilliant running game on him. So yeah, hopefully they can utilize that, because Melbourne do make some great attacking plays where they just find a lot of open space. And if you can slot someone like Farlago in there, like, yeah, he's pretty well sorted, isn't he, for massive meters? He's just not a massive body, though. Yeah, that's the other, probably the real drama. Like, he's not a big kind of body like a Reece Walsh. Like, he's got a bit more muscle on him if you think of like a quick, agile fullback like that. So maybe you might pack some pounds or some kilos on, you never know. But yeah, we'll see how he goes this year. I didn't get a chance to see Melbourne's trial game last weekend, but hopefully get to see him in action this weekend.
Yeah, I think he was named today for Melbourne, so he should play this weekend, which will be fantastic. Moving down the list, David Mawali, the man we spoke about before, played on the weekend, 358K, so pretty cheap. The only thing I would watch here is if he's starting or not. If he does get a starting front row spot, jump on. 358K is cheap for a front rower. Look, he's probably going to play 45, 50 minutes, so not a bad output. If he can get through the work, he's a great player to have. So only look at it if he does start. If he's playing on the bench, avoid him at all costs. He just won't get the minutes. The next player I want to look at, mate, and one that's really interesting, Joe Chan. Now, second row, 309K. From all reports, he may have landed the starting second row spot. Obviously, no Katoa there, and we've seen young Lasanti. We know Sean Bloor is there at the club, and he's playing really well. But Joe Chan, 309K. If he gets a starting role in the second row, jump on. He's probably going to second row has played pretty close to 80 minutes most of the time. So if you are looking for a cheap option, if he does start, definitely jump on. But the man I just spoke about, Basati, now he comes over. I forget what club it was. It might have been the Warriors or the Dolphins. I do forget, sorry. But Basati, he comes with a really, really cheap value, 269K. From all reports, he may get the starting role as well. So it's between him and Joe Chan. He's named this week as well to start. I believe. Oh, actually, he might have been named on the bench, I think. But if he does start, jump on. 269K. You're going to make cash either way in SuperCoach. He's a player who, no matter what points he gets, his break-even is going to be in the minuses. So you're going to make points either way unless he has an absolute shocker and gets minus 10 points, which doesn't happen often. So jump on Lasati, put him on your bench, and just hold him for the ride, make the cash, and then sell him when he makes 300K for you. Moving down the list, probably the only other player I want to speak about, Moses Leo. Now, centre wing, 235K. He's been named to start on the wing this weekend, which is very interesting because the trial this weekend is for the players that are probably going to play. We know Xavier Coates is actually out with an injury. I'm not sure the extent of that injury or how long, but Moses Leo, again, at 235K, not a bad option. Not in many teams. Not many people really know about him. He played centre last week. Playing wing this week. Mate, he'll be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, I haven't really kept an eye on him. I didn't really realize he's getting a run this weekend. So that'd be good to see, man. Interested to see how that goes. But they've still got a bit of depth, don't they? Like, even with some injuries, like they've got these good, like overly like above average players that they're just going to slot into this team, and I think they're going to make it work fairly well for him. Yeah, by the sounds of it. Like, if you look at I wrote it down, like the Fox Sports had their predicted Storm lineup for 2026, like the first game run out, and half those players aren't even on the list of their, I guess, starting 17 that they might throw out. So we'll see. It's good reserves to have. So I think they're going to do just fine.
Oh, absolutely. And the only other player I want to speak on, Jack Heverington. Now, second row, front row dual, so you do get him in dual position, which is always very juicy in SuperCoach to have a player that can play both. 235K, and now the listeners are going to probably laugh at this, but I actually tinkered a little bit with having Heverington in my team. I never, ever thought I would put him in my team. I did for a little bit. I have taken him out since because I came back to my senses. But if he does land a starting role, I may be very tempted. I mean, he's a pod play. No one is really jumping on Heverington. I mean, the only thing I'm worried about is giving away penalties, being suspended, things like that. He is quite a hot head. So if Bellamy can calm that down and he does happen to land a starting role, I may be very, very tempted to throw Jack Hetherington in my team, which is diabolical, absolutely diabolical. But you got to make these plays. You got to make these big plays, this big dick energy to win SuperCoach. So let's see what happens. But that's it for our SuperCoach chat. Don't forget, we do have our SuperCoach comp running. Head to the SuperCoach app. Type in the code 693809. Jump in, take on myself, Luke, Harry's in there as well, a couple of the other boys. Take us on. There are lots of people. We've got 123 in there so far. So come in and you're playing for some SuperCoach Championship rings, best SuperCoach rings going around. Check them out, SC rings. They look like Super Bowl rings, but absolutely better. They say SuperCoach Champion on them 2026. So you want to get your hands around them. There is only one to collect for our SuperCoach comp and NRL Fantasy comp. So I will drop those links in the description. Join us today and take us on. All right, Dongle, it is time for players to watch. Now, I'm going to start off with you. Who is a player or players that you would like to watch in 2026?
I've already spoken about him, sort of far longer. I think, and like I mentioned before, once he gets a full season, hopefully he gets the full season under his belt with Melbourne. I think we're going to see one of the next sort of great prospects coming through. So definitely check him out. I think he's going to be awesome in the fullback. Definitely his preferred position over the wing. I think he looks good in the wing. I think we'll find him more in place, though, in fullback, where he can sort of cover the entire back of the field there. We've really seen him put those little legs to work. So definitely keen to check him out. Other players to watch. Look, man, it's Melbourne as usual. Like they're going to have some players sort of come out of nowhere and just sort of wow us all with some sort of, who knows who it's going to be. We'll flip a coin. It could be Jack Hetherington. It could be Davey Moali. Like, we don't actually know. Or it could be Munster. Might have his best year we've ever seen him have. So either way, man, keen as beans to sort of see who it's going to be this year. Who have you got your eye on?
Mate, I've actually got Harry Grant. Now, I know he's already a star in the team, but I just feel that now with the lack of players around him, I really think he's going to have a big year. I think he's going to be the man to step up. He might even get close to Hooker of the Year, possibly even a Dally M, even if they don't make the grand final. I just think he's going to have a really, really good season. He's already a quality player, and if he can stay fit and healthy, he's going to go a long way. The other one that I want to talk about, obviously, is second rower I spoke on before, but Joe Chan. I actually think Joe Chan may get a crack, and he may be a starter all year. He could keep that spot as his own with Katoa gone for the season. So watch out for Joe Chan. Of course, his dad was a very good player as well. So be interesting to see if that happens. But they are some of our players to watch. All right. The exciting part, mate, the ladder finish for the Melbourne Storm in 2026. Ooh. Where have you got them this year?
I know I said it's either going to be first, second, or eighth. I think even in on the podcast, I think I even had him down in sixth or seventh. Yeah, so I don't know, man. It's too hard to tell. Look, I guess the first few games are going to tell. They got first. They've got
Para, I think.
Yeah, Para first. Yeah, then they got the Titans second or something like that. So look,
and then Penrith.
Bad start. You could do worse, but then you got Penrith after that. Round 3, the big blockbuster, the real challenge. So if they can get over Para and Titans, which you think they would, like going off last year's form. But then again, I had Para in the top 8. So look, man, I'd like to say around 6th or something, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see them top 2 or in the grand final again, like they just sort of stumble their way into every other year, don't they? So, man, either one. It was really hard to pick like where to put Melbourne. I mean, they're always going to be in the top 8, but where would you put them exactly? I mean, flip a coin, whatever it lands on, or flip an 8-sided shape. Whatever it lands on is where they'll go. Yeah, why not? I don't think first though. I'm sort of reserved to the fact I don't think that they'll win. At least not get the minor prems anyway. I think Brisbane has sort of already got one hand on that as it is. So, and if not, I had the Roosters up there too. So it'll make you happy with you smiling already.
Good man.
So one or the other. I don't think they'll clinch the minor premiers. Just because obviously it's a long season grind, but I think they'll be there or thereabouts when it comes finals time and grand finals time.
Yeah, look. It's so interesting. They lose Katoa, they lose Pappenhausen, everyone goes, oh, that's it for Melbourne. They're done. They drop out of the top 4. And then somehow they just get back in, and you go, how is this team still doing this? I've got them fifth at the moment, only because of that reason. I think Katoa and Pappenhausen are massive losses for them, and I don't know if they recover from that. I just think it's a lot of experience. It's two really, really good players. I know Bellamy is a miracle worker, but I don't know if there's a miracle in 2026. So I've got the Melbourne Storm finishing in fifth position, which, look, I mean, a lot of people would be happy about because we haven't seen them out of the top four in a long time. So if it does happen, look, that's why they call me the prophet, mate, but we shall see. All right, mate.
You watch him shit it in now and come first, clear as both for him.
I know. I've just jinxed it. Fuck the Storm. But let's finish off with some last words, mate. If you can you try and muster up some words to inspire the Storm faithful?
No, I don't think they need any more inspiring. Like, I don't know, do better, would you? Yeah. Don't live in a shit city.
Do better.
No, look, like it's going to be a difficult or a different year for Melbourne. Like I don't think they're going to walk all over everyone, but I think we're going to see a lot of breakout players this year, which is like I don't think they're in a rebuilding phase or anything of the such at all. But we are going to see a lot of talent come through this year, so it's going to be an exciting year to watch Melbourne. Hopefully, there won't be like a boring sort of a really structured sort of team play like we've seen in previous years. I think there might be a little more blasé and a little more out there with a lot of their players, and we'll see a lot more free-flowing and free-running, I guess, games from their back three. So hopefully it's going to be an exciting year for them. So fire up. If that doesn't fire you up, you can get fucked.
Love it. Look, I'll just keep it short and sweet. If you're in Melbourne, get to as many games as you can at Amy Park. Support your team. It's always great when the home crowd gets around their team. So get down there, support them. Cheer them on. Look, let's hope Melbourne go good, but not too good this season. So, but until next time, that is it for our team preview tonight. Of course, don't forget to check out our great friends at the Corner Post, Westfield Liverpool. Head over there. All the best footy jerseys going around. I know Dongle and we love it. So check out the Corner Post. We will be there on the weekend as well. So wait for a little post for that. That's going to be awesome. But they are the best sports store going around. So get out to Westfield Liverpool. Say good day to Julie, Ben, Alana, and the team. And tell them the Ruck Infringement Podcast sent you, and they might give you a sausage roll or a high five. So, and if they don't, I'll tell them Dongle said it, and you can come after him. But until next time, I'm the Prophet. That's Dongle. Wherever you are, be good.